You're watching Meet the Movie Press, and coming up, we're going to be talking about Michelle Williams in Venom, Marty and Leo getting back together, Lord and Miller heading back to space, and a little movie called Blade Runner 2049. Stay tuned.
Welcome to Popcorn Talk, featuring movie discussion, news, and interviews. Popcorn Talk. We talk movies. And now, here's Popcorn Talk's Meet the Movie Press.
Oh, good morning, Simon.
Oh, wow. It's a busy start to Friday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're starting a little bit late today.
A little bit late.
We got locked out of the office.
We did. I mean, there weren't people in here keeping us out.
Right.
None of us could get in.
I'm sure that they would if they could.
Yeah.
I am Jeff Sneider. You're watching Meet the Movie Press. I'm the editor-in-chief of the Tracking Board, tracking-board.com. Exciting things coming to that site soon. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at The Insider. And with me, as always,
Simon Thompson. You can find me on social media at Showbiz Simon on Twitter and Instagram. I have a Facebook page. This is Simon Thompson. And I've been kind of everywhere this week. A couple of my stories got picked up, and they've made their way around the world on the internet.
Ooh, the World Wide Web.
Also, I was the dissenting voice amongst all the Blade Runner hoo-ha
Party
and positivity.
pooper.
I was the party pooper. I brought my own poop, and I didn't party.
You said you liked it. You just
with the
didn't
poop.
flip for it.
Yeah, I just didn't like jizz in my pants like some people did.
Let's dive right in
Okay,
on
let's talk
Blade
about
Runner
that.
2049.
Yeah.
So the review embargo lifted this morning at 6 a.m. We're going to have a review up from Drew McWeeny as soon as I get off of the show, and it's very effusively positive. I have not seen the movie myself, but Simon, you have.
I did. I got to see it last Friday, although I wasn't supposed to tell anyone that I was seeing it. They only told us.
You wouldn't even tell me.
Yeah. Yeah, you text me, and I was like, dude, can't do it.
Can't do it.
Can't do it.
See, that's how much he respects NDAs, Warner Brothers. So Simon,
Yeah.
Give us your thoughts. This is all you. Take it away.
Okay, if you watch it on a regular basis, you know my relationship with Blade Runner. The first time I saw it, I really didn't like it. It's really grown on me over the years, and I do really love the original movie. It's one of my favorite films of all time. I was very excited and very nervous about this. Because obviously when you have a film that is so strong and so well revered, doing a sequel is always going to be difficult. You know, there are concerns that come with it, even though a director who's at the helm is considered to be very able and, you know, potentially will turn out something quite spectacular, or at least equally as good. It's a beautiful film. I mean, let's start with the positives of the film. It is a beautiful film. It is one of the most beautiful films I have seen in the last couple of years. I said to Denni last week that I could just have that on a loop, on a screen, and it would just be like art. It is... Deakins has done the most amazing thing with this, and him and Denni together, it is a beautiful, beautiful piece of cinema. There are some excellent characters in this, male and female. Really well drawn, really well written. It's a very, very strong movie in all of those respects. Even some of the supporting cast who are not as well known as the likes of Gosling and Ford, are very, very strong and really elevate the movie. Leto is excellent. Robin Wright is excellent. Batista is not in it much, which was one of the big disappointments for me, because the way the marketing campaign has positioned him, you expect him to be in it. That was a big disappointment for me, because his character is, I won't tell you in spoiler territory, but his character is so impactful that you really want him to do more in the movie, and it's kind of a wasted opportunity. The biggest problems I had with the movie was the fact that I respect the fact that it's Denis' vision, and this is the director's cut. He's been very clear about this. For me, it was too long.
Yeah, I think even the
30
positive
minutes,
reviews,
possibly 40 minutes too long.
Yeah.
I get the story plays out really, really nicely. I think it would play out as nicely if they just...
Are there pacing issues?
No.
Is it slow?
No, and that's kind of a weird thing, because it is slow. But it's fine being slow, but it's just a bit too slow. Because the original Blade Runner, obviously, it's still quite a long movie, was not this long.
How long's the original? What, 2:15?
Yeah, about 2:15. It's just over the
Something like
2-hour
that?
mark.
Yeah.
It was considered quite long then. This is just... it's difficult to do it. And the third act, this is not going to contain spoilers, by the way, because it is very... the whole movie, if you talk too much about the plot, you give the whole thing away. So I'm not going to do that. But the third act, it felt to me, whereas the end of the original Blade Runner was theatrical and dramatic, this felt more like it was a Hollywood ending. It was a 2017 audience, we need a face-off. And it just felt more Hollywood movie than theatrical, dramatic, with everything else that was so beautifully done, tonally spot on. Even though it's monotone, as you would kind of expect from this, it just felt... It didn't... It's a good ending. It just didn't fit the rest of the movie tonally for me.
Does it set up a sequel? This is maybe a spoiler.
Does it set up a sequel?
One word, yes or no?
It doesn't not set it up for a sequel because the story is a contained story that relates to the first film, but you can have this as a standalone movie, which I think is one of its strengths.
All right, so let's get into the nitty.
I don't think they'll make a third one.
Let's get into the questions I care about. Okay. So, is it an awards contender? Like, is Roger Deakins going to win an Oscar for cinematography?
Deakins, yes.
You think he's going to win?
Yeah, I think he's certainly. I would put money on the fact that he was nominated, and I think he's going to. I would be amazed if he doesn't win.
Okay.
It's stunning. It's absolutely beautiful.
Is Harrison Ford a real contender for supporting actor?
I don't think so.
Okay.
No, I don't think so. I think he's very capable. He puts in a great performance. There was nothing outstanding about that. I have seen better performances by him in other movies and other people this year. So he might. I would be quite surprised.
Ryan Gosling doesn't do a lot of these big blockbuster tentpoles. How does he sort of fit into that kind of like big budget?
He does a really good
filmmaking.
Job, to be honest with you, really, really good.
I knew he would.
I think as far as nominations go, let's say Denny and Deeks are going to be.
You think Denny's going to get a nomination for Best Director?
Potentially.
Do you think like
potentially? I think he'll be in the Outsiders thing, but I think potentially.
Variety has an interesting story up this morning. Do you think that Blade Runner is this year's Mad Max Fury Road?
Potentially, yeah.
Potentially. All right, well, that got nominated.
Yeah.
So.
I think that...
Was this better than Mad Max?
My concern about the nominations of Blade Runner is the fact that I think they will do it because they think they should, and because they think that this is the time for Denis to get that recognition. I think he has better films as a whole.
Was he nominated last year for Arrival?
He wasn't nominated as director last year.
I didn't think so either.
As a film, I think Arrival's a better movie, but this is a completely different kettle of fish when it comes to movies because this is a piece of art, and it's obviously in a universe that he hasn't created. It's created there for him. Most people have really gone to town on this, and they absolutely love it. I took a little bit of shit, as we joked about earlier, from saying that it has flaws, and I think it does. I think you have to be realistic about that. But there are other people that have come out today. There's a guy, as a journalist in London for The Times, his review went live this morning, Kevin Mayer, and he was like, great movie. It has issues, didn't love it. Vulture have come out today and said, yeah, good movie, didn't love it. For me, it's a B movie. It's B. That's the grade I would give it. Yeah. It's not an A. I don't think it's as good as the original, but I want to see it again, even though I think it's too long and it has problems, because I got so much out of Blade Runner by watching it a number of times. Not that like it wore me down, but I want to do the same thing with this. There's a lot in this movie that I would like to go back and look at again. So my opinion might change after a couple of years.
Okay, you reserve the right.
Yeah, but I think it's a strong movie. It's a big movie. Now, do I think it's going to be a box office hit? Do I think it's going to be a smash hit? I don't think it's going to be. I think it's going to do very well.
Well, it's been tracking for around 40 to 45, but after these reviews, I wouldn't be surprised to see it climb up to the 50, 60 range.
I think 50, 55 is entirely doable. I think,
but the question is whether that's a win.
Yeah, and I think it's outside of the core audience that we know is going to go and see Blade Runner. Are there going to be enough other people, and is it going to do the repeat business? So I can see it opening pretty good, and I can see it doing well on a gradient.
Okay.
Do I see it exploding? I don't see that.
All right.
But
I'm gonna,
it's certainly not a bad movie.
Warner Brothers was very nice enough to extend an invitation for this upcoming Monday at 11 a.m. But as the editor-in-chief of the Dragon Board, I can't afford to take the
Got shit to do.
3/4 of the day to see this 3-hour movie.
Correction, Villeneuve was nominated for Best Director.
He was nominated. Oh, okay. Well,
we were
then
wrong.
there you
stand
go.
corrected.
So yeah, I'm just gonna see it when I'm back in Boston a week after it comes out. So I'm gonna wait on Blade Runner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's lots in it that will, even people who don't love the movie will take away from it.
Yeah. All right. What's next on your list?
Okay, let's talk about. You mentioned this in the opening of the show, Venom. Let's talk about Venom.
Oh boy, that was a big one.
Yeah, a couple of big ones this week, actually.
Yeah, so I've been holding that Michelle Williams Venom story for about 2 weeks. Went at the same time as Variety.
Yeah.
My buddy Justin Kroll over there, and yeah, we had just been hearing that she was the front runner. She finally read the script and got an offer, and it looked like it's going to work out. And the idea of Tom Hardy and Riz Ahmed and Michelle Williams together in Venom, like that is a cast that who would have thought?
Yeah.
When they were announcing Venom and there was all this sort of trepidation about the project that they would get 3 actors of that caliber. I mean, Michelle Williams is a 4-time Oscar nominee, could have another Oscar nomination coming this fall. Not only is she in Wonderstruck, which our critic Ed Douglas at the Tracking Board did not really care for, but she does have the Ridley Scott movie All the Money in the World and the Hugh Jackman movie The Greatest Showman.
Yep.
So 2 big chances in December for Michelle Williams.
Which are a nice spread of films as far as audience goes, because you've got the smaller, sort of more boutique indie kind of movies, and you've got the Christmas taking mum to the holidays theater.
And Michelle Williams is an actress with real integrity. She doesn't do a lot of these blockbusters. She's kind of like Ryan Gosling in that regard. The only one that she has done is Oz the Great and Powerful.
Yeah.
And that was really the chance to work with Sam Raimi. It wasn't, some hack.
I didn't love that.
I didn't even see it. So, but the idea of her, doing a comic book movie is kind of cool. It sounds like she would play a district attorney who serves as a potential love interest to Tom Hardy's Eddie Brock.
I'll be up for that.
Yeah.
I like her. Although whenever I hear Michelle Williams is joining the cast, I can't decide whether it's the Dawson's Creek Michelle Williams or the one from Destiny's Child. And I just then think about how bad Michelle Williams was in, was it Halloween H2O?
Yeah. I just I grew up watching Dawson's Creek, and if I probably wouldn't have picked her out of the 4 leads.
No.
As someone who would have the biggest movie career, but sure enough, here we are.
I'd like to see Van Der Beek do something really gritty, which he hasn't done for a while.
Yeah, he's great when he channels that dark side.
I'd like him to play like a
Attraction.
serial killer or like a pedophile, or do a Kevin Bacon kind of like Woodsman kind of yeah.
Good reference.
It's a great movie. A lot of people haven't seen that movie. That's a fucking amazing movie.
Yeah.
Seriously.
So yeah, Venom, a really good addition.
Another, we kind of discussed this the other week, but Terminator 6 confirmed. So we knew last week Linda Hamilton, that broke before the show, is going to be back. Arnie's coming back. Cameron's going to be involved, and Tim Miller is obviously, Tim Miller, Deadpool, is going to be directing. Something we learned this week was the fact that it's going to be the start of a new trilogy.
Can you believe it, folks?
Here, but I had a thought. So this is going to be Terminator 6, Terminator 7, and Terminator 8.
Great.
Terminator 8, they have to call it Terminator.
Ooh, I like that.
Just saying. Hold that thought. In 2025, this guy had that.
Listen, I'd love to give the Terminator franchise the benefit of the doubt since James Cameron hasn't been involved in the last 3, but I don't know. I'm just.
It can't be any fucking worse.
I mean, you're right. It can't be any worse.
I keep revisiting them. I don't know why, but I do, and they're bad.
It really needs to move on.
Although Salvation, I mean, I hated that when I saw it. It's not terrible. It's just not very good. But if you compare it to Genesis, Rise of the Machines, it's better.
I don't know what we're arguing about Terminator sequels for. What has happened to the show?
No, I'm just saying, But I mean, I think it can't be any worse. And I'm pretty with that. Would they get Edward Furlong back? He's alive and he's available.
You got to get the smelling salts under his nose. Wake up, Eddie!
I need you. Get Furlong on the phone.
Yeah, I just
Come on.
I didn't
Band back together.
I didn't love Deadpool, so I don't think Tim Miller's all that until he shows me something else.
Okay.
I
I think it'll have the sass, the action, and
the sass.
Yeah, well, Terminator 2 has balls and humor. It's got that little, it's got kind of everything. It ticks all those boxes.
It has Guns N' Roses, and that's
It does
the only
have
thing
Guns
I
N'
want to
Roses.
see in T6.
Yeah.
Just make sure Guns N' Roses is in there.
They are available.
Speaking of big directors,
Yeah.
let's go back to our Blade Runner boy for
Yeah.
a second. Denis Villeneuve. Word comes that he's in talks to direct Cleopatra
Coming at you.
for Sony. Cleopatra coming at you. This movie has been coming at you for the
long
last
time.
10 years. It's been in development for quite a while over
Yeah,
at
Richard
Sony.
Burton on the phone. No, he's dead.
Angelina Jolie had been attached for a while to play the Queen of the Nile. That rhymes. But it's unclear whether she's still attached. I don't know how old Cleopatra was when she died. She seems like her rule was relatively young.
Yeah. They died young
Of
back
course,
then.
they can do amazing things with technology, and Angelina's still looking pretty good these days. But I wouldn't be surprised if they went in a different direction. Someone with maybe a little bit more heat right now, since Angelina's been, staying behind the camera lately. And
She does like to pop out from it every now and again, like Maleficent and stuff like that.
But yeah, I don't know if I buy Angelina in this anymore.
What about Marianne Cotillard?
I don't know.
She'd be quite good.
I
Was she
guess.
not, sexy enough?
I mean, what about Emily Blunt?
Let's name people.
His Sicario star.
Yeah.
I don't know. But Denis can certainly handle the scope of this Cleopatra movie. This was going to be a big, sweeping, like, Egyptian epic. But, with him first he's going to tackle Dune. It looks pretty apparent that that's
Yeah.
going to be his next movie.
Yeah.
He'd be developing Cleopatra while shooting Dune. And so I don't really see where a James Bond movie fits into that. And I know you've said that Daniel
Craig would like him, yeah. We know he's on the short list.
Yeah,
he's not that short.
he was on the reported short list. That was 2 months old at this point. The movie still doesn't have a studio home, and I imagine that'll affect things. I mean, shit, if this thing winds up at Apple or Amazon or a company like that, I don't know if someone like Denis Villeneuve wants to come on that journey.
Amazon announced just this week that they are looking to spend a lot more money on productions, and
Yeah.
if they want to have the jewel in the crown, Bond would be a really good one for them if they do want to get in with the big boys.
Yeah. So I think he's out of the running. And I think it's looking like Jan Demange, unless another contender sort of comes out of left field.
The thing is, for me, I mean, I'd be interested to see what he would do with this because I really like him as a director. I love his vision. I think he's amazing, and certainly that department alone. But audiences don't tend to get behind these religious, old school, epic kind of things, things like Ben-Hur or Godson Thingamajiggy that Ridley Scott did.
Exodus.
Yeah,
Whenever I think of Cleopatra, I think of Alexander.
yeah, they just audiences on Alexander was fine, but it didn't really do what it should have done.
Didn't do well.
No, audiences don't. They always seem great from a Hollywood point of view. It's like, let's show how big we can make this.
Troy did well, but
But it wasn't exactly a runaway success,
Yeah, no.
I just don't know if audience is excited about films like this as Hollywood is.
A lot of those movies are male-driven. I think a female-driven movie, like a female-driven sword and sandals sort of thing.
Change Cleopatra to a man, Heopatra. Let's readdress.
I mean, she's just the ultimate sort
that
of
thing.
It is as the story said, the ultimate female empowerment tale of sorts. So yeah, I hope that they find a great actress for this. I have my doubts that it'll end up being Angelina.
Yeah, we'll see.
What else?
Let's talk about
your big scoop this week.
Big Scoop.
Bro.
Scoop.
You were talking to who? Mick Garris?
Yeah.
And you were talking Hocus Pocus.
Yes. Oh, it was Joe Dante and Mick Garris are working on a new project together. It's a horror movie. It's an anthology
thing, right?
piece. Yeah. And so I did this interview for Forbes, and I couldn't speak to Joe without asking about Gremlins, and I couldn't speak to Mick without asking about Hocus Pocus. And obviously, there have been these talks, and there was a meme that went around last year. Everyone going, "Hocus Pocus 2 is coming to cinemas," and it turned out to be bullshit. So I was like, Mick, you still have a relationship with that project. What what is it happening? Is it not happening? What's the deal? And he told me that it is in the works at Disney. As far as he was aware. And he also said that he believed that they were looking to bring back the original cast. And obviously, Bette Midler has said previously that she would want to come back. Sarah Jessica Parker has said she would come back. And Kathy Najimy has said that she would come back. And then they kind of changed, and nothing's really happened. Deadline followed up my story. Basically, a lot of people picked up my story. The interview is on Forbes. And they picked it up, and Deadline then got in touch with Disney, like, is this happening? And Disney were kind of like, yeah, shit, okay, yeah, the cat's out of the bag. So Hocus Pocus is happening. It's not going to be a sequel. It's going to be a remake. It's looking like the original cast will not be involved. Neither is a director. Mick's not involved with writing. But yeah, so Hocus Pocus is coming back, but it's not going to be a sequel. It's going to be a reboot.
Sounds shitty to me.
I don't think it's a good idea. They should have just done. I mean, when Hocus Pocus came out, it wasn't a massive hit. It was like a modest hit, but it's gathered.
A cult movie that's done great on home video.
Yeah.
I loved it as a kid. I understand not bringing back the original cast, or at least like shoving them to the side and like supporting roles and sort of having 3 new younger witches, but a whole Disney Channel thing, shit. I don't have cable. I don't have the fucking Disney Channel. How old are these leads going to be? Like, is it still going to be about kids and then adult
I'm assuming
witches?
It's going to be young, sort of young adult witches.
That's what I think too. It's going to be like
the Vanessa Hudgens kind of
17-year-old witches. I don't think that's what I want to see.
But also, I mean, they tried it previously with Adventure. I talked to Elizabeth Shue about this the other week. They did an Adventures in Babysitting movie that was basically, with tweens, I think is the phrase. And that was for Disney Channel and didn't really, get a lot. It got a lot of hoo-ha when it was announced, but nobody really watched it. But someone responded to my story on Twitter this week, and they were like, is this potentially, if it's going to be, rather than Disney Channel, Disney are doing their own streaming service, where all their products are going to come off Netflix and other platforms, and they're going to just have it on their thing. Maybe they're going to do like their own Netflix movies, Netflix original movie series, and start doing these things and launch them like you would a Netflix movie, but on their streaming channel it's not just our old stuff.
I mean, that's true.
Like, so they could do that.
You're right. The over-the-top service, yeah.
Which I actually hadn't thought about, to be honest with you, when I originally asked.
It would feel like a bigger thing for them than it would the Disney Channel.
It would make more sense because Disney Channel is popular, but it's not exactly a high-rating channel, and a lot of people are cutting the cord. So this would make much more sense.
I just don't know even know, like, again, I don't know how old the leads are, but who would you cast? Like, if you're the Disney Channel, like Bella Thorne's too old for this stuff now. Victoria Justice, and aren't they too old for that stuff?
I mean, yeah, potentially. But I wouldn't go like into the 20s. I think it would be either late teens or early 20s.
Zendaya?
Yeah, Zendaya, Miley Cyrus, Vanessa Hudgens, where they've still got that. I mean, who was the one that played Sharpay in High School Musical? She's around.
Is it a real question?
I
don't know who played Sharpay.
I've completely forgotten. Right, that might come up on the Schmodown one day. You never know.
Yes,
that might just come up.
Ashley
Tisdale. Yeah, Ashley Tisdale.
Don't ask how I know that.
That's okay, dude. I'm very disappointed in you that you were so quick on that. But yeah, so I mean, maybe something like that would work.
You gotta get the 3.
They've got to be back in it in some way, some shape
cameo,
or form.
Exactly. This is just not. It's not Hocus Pocus without them.
No, it's just Hocus.
It's just Hocus.
Just Hocus.
I think it's just Pocus.
Bullshit. But yeah, so that was my big scoop. That got featured like everywhere in Vanity Fair.
That was everywhere.
The tracking board featured it.
Did we?
Yeah.
Did we link to you?
No. You didn't credit me.
Let me know next time.
Yeah.
I didn't even read that one on the site. Someone else edited that.
It was a great story. You should have read it. No. But yeah, no, I didn't get credited. So you feel free to go back and kick somebody's ass today.
But
yeah, that went everywhere. So
congratulations. Now you know what it feels like.
Well, what was?
I was just fucking with you.
But no, it was really funny because I when I get a scoop, I send it around a lot of the film sites to go, hey, I've done this interview.
Yeah,
you might want this. All the sites that covered it, when I sent it to them, like on Tuesday, they ignored it. They didn't run with it. And then a Disney blog picked it up and it fucking exploded. And then they're like, hey, there's this great star on Forbes, and maybe we should do. And most people did credit me, and I appreciate that. So, a lot of the people who sometimes don't, they did, which is great. But thank you. But yeah, that was my big scoop this week.
Congratulations. That was a cool one.
Variety are on the phone with that kind of shit. Boom.
Let's talk about that Kumail Nanjiani, John Cena.
This was quite weird.
Buddy cop movie. Oh, I called Universal on this one because I'd heard that they had landed this pitch, and then 8 minutes later it was on deadline.
I think tapping your phones.
I think this is a really good comic pairing.
Yeah.
Kumail is gonna pop. I mean, he was great in The Big Sick. I think he's going to get a Golden Globe nomination for
really
Best Actor in a Comedy Musical. Everybody likes Kumail. And I don't know what the logline of this movie is. If they are partners, if Cena's like his boss and he's like the fumbling cop who's trying to prove himself. But obviously a lot of a potential for good chemistry and cop hijinks and that kind of stuff. What'd you think?
Well, yeah, I mean, this is the second buddy cop or buddy movie that Cena is being lined up for, because obviously there's one with Kevin Hart as well, which is the Knight Rider movie.
That's not a real thing,
I'll tell you what, when I invite you to the Knight Rider movie screening...
I mean, that's a rumor. That's not like something that's like in the works.
Hopefully it is.
Okay.
But this is not the only one that's sort of been bandied around for him. I mean, I would like to see... I know it's not Universal, not the studio. I think it was Paramount who were the studio. Mm-hmm. But Midnight Run, that kind of thing.
Yes.
But
that's the model.
Here we go. It's Kumail who is the cop, and it is Cena who is the criminal. Kumail is the button-down guy, just wants, to do the decent straight cop thing. John is the kind of the kooky, crazy, muscly guy, and brings Kumail out of his shell.
Yeah? I don't know about that. I'd have to think about it. I can kind of see how that dynamic might work, but Cena being the bounty hunter and Kumail being like the brilliant little nerd guy, that could work too.
That could work.
God, I just want to watch Midnight Run. Goodbye, Simon.
Whatever they do with this, I'm on board. I mean, I think seriously, I like both these guys. It's just a pitch, but that to me is potentially a genuinely good movie.
Cena's becoming a bigger and bigger movie star. And Universal really likes him. He was in Trainwreck. He was in Sisters. He's going to be in The Pact.
He's in Bumblebee.
All of these are Universal, right? Plus Bumblebee. So, well, wish them the best of luck on that one.
I'm really pleased that he's coming through, and I think it's nice. It'll give The Rock a bit of a rest, because I'm worried The Rock doesn't sleep. So if they want, a big muscly wrestler type guy in a movie, it means that Dwayne can have a day off. He needs it. He needs to do Dwayne every now and again. But yeah, I mean, I like him. I do like him. So
and speaking of 80s comedies, after talking about Midnight Run, there's another 80s comedy that was in the news this week, Coming to America.
Yes.
With the sequel getting Jonathan Levine to direct and Kenya Barris to rewrite the script over at Paramount. I don't know. What do you think of Jonathan Levine coming on to do this?
Well, I mean, to me, I don't care who comes on and does this. I don't really want them to do it. I'm.
Are you a big Coming to America guy?
Yeah, I really like that movie. I remember going to see it in movie theaters, and I still watch it on a regular basis. If it's on cable or whatever, and it comes on, I can't turn cable. I've seen it a million times. I've got it on DVD. I can't turn it off. I've got to watch it. I think it's a great. I just don't want to see a sequel to that movie. I don't think it's going to work. I'm not particularly interested in it. I think it's a great standalone movie. I'm just not jazzed about it at all.
Yeah, it's hard to get too jazzed for an Eddie Murphy movie these days anyways. Coming to America, I think, could actually be really timely.
Coming to America.
Yes, I think it has to be called that, by the way. Coming to America, too. Doesn't work.
Bring in the numbers.
So I think that, done the right way, and Kenya Barris is a great hire for this to rewrite the script. He's the creator of Blackish. This could be a pretty timely comedy that says stuff about immigration, and they could flip the formula, the original Coming to America formula, on its head. Jonathan Levine, I think I like. I'm mixed on him. Okay. He's made some good ones, but he's coming off Snatched, which wasn't particularly strong. But yeah, I'm kind of with you. I think Eddie Murphy should just leave it alone, focus on doing that Beverly Hills Cop 4 movie.
I really want that. Even after watching Beverly Hills Cop 3 again recently, I was like, that film is such shit, but I just really want another Beverly Hills Cop movie.
I would watch another 48 Hours movie with Eddie Murphy and like a super duper drunk Nick Nolte.
It's basically just Nick Nolte.
It would have to be Netflix, though.
I have to say, every time I drive through Beverly Hills and I see, little streets or stuff that are, that are obviously in Beverly Hills Cop, I do a little bit of an Eddie Murphy, like, laugh.
That was good. That was really good.
I do that, and I can't help it.
If you had to reboot Beverly Hills Cop with a young black actor, who would you choose?
See, I'd love to do Kevin Hart, but he's too old for that now.
Who? Michael B?
Yeah, possibly.
Or is he not funny enough?
I don't know. I'm trying to think of
so Jay Farrow is having a moment.
Yeah,
he's got his Showtime show White Famous coming, and then he's the lead in a new experimental Soderbergh movie.
I'm just trying to think of young black comedians right now. I mean, assuming that it would be, if it's obviously a young actor or whatever, it would be, a black guy. But I don't know. There's not that. We're getting some really good dramatic and action African American stars, but not that many comedians.
You think like Boyega could handle it, or
he'd be all right? I mean, I'd love to see someone like a Chadwick Boseman, but I don't see him as a comedic actor.
No.
But no, I think maybe Boyega could do. His first movie was Attack the Block, so he's done action and comedy. It wasn't a flat-out comedy, but potentially Boyega could do that.
I think that would. I don't know. It would be interesting to see who they did. If they recast it, which I don't think that they plan to. Eddie may have one more in him. All right, let's move on.
We can have Kumail do it. Axel Foley somehow became Pakistani.
That actually is kind of awesome.
I would, if they could explain. Obviously, it wouldn't be Axel Foley, but if they did it with like a Pakistani Beverly Hills Cop, Kumail. Just saying.
Let's stay at Paramount and talk about this Teddy Roosevelt movie. Martin Scorsese and Leonardo DiCaprio. I guess this was in the air a decade ago. They have talked about doing a million movies together, including a Frank Sinatra movie. I don't know why Leo is so hung up on playing real people. But Teddy Roosevelt, we haven't had a good Teddy Roosevelt movie. He was obviously a major American president.
Yeah.
And Leo, actually, I could actually see a resemblance. Believe it or not, but is this actually going to happen? Like, Marty and Leo are supposed to do Killers of the Flower Moon together.
Yeah.
They're supposed to do Devil in the White City. This is just one more log on the fire. What do you think about them reteaming potentially on a new Teddy Roosevelt movie?
I like them together as a team. For me, it doesn't always work. Sometimes it gets a little bit too dry. But I'd be very open to that. I mean, yeah, you're absolutely right saying that Leo's doing too many of these sort of, real people. He'd maybe have one or two more in there, and of potential ones that he could do. Teddy Roosevelt, I think, will be a really interesting one for him. So yeah, I'm okay with that. I'm open. Yeah, I think that could turn out to be quite an interesting project.
Like, I don't know what kind of health Marty's in, but Marty's getting up there. I mean, Marty's in his 70s.
Yeah.
Like, how many of these more movies do we really have out of him? Hopefully he'll work, for another 20 years. But I don't know. I would just much rather see Devil in the White City or, frankly, Killers of the Flower Moon than a Teddy Roosevelt movie, which I feel like could be made by anybody.
Well, it's quite interesting. I mean, yeah.
Leo still hasn't chosen what is next for him.
No.
But then again, he's
I thought he
not
would
in
have
any
by
rush.
now. No.
Although I saw Leo in a movie this week.
Okay.
Yeah. The Steven Spielberg documentary.
Yes.
Spielberg. Which is incredible. I'd seen it a few months ago and had been embargoed. But I went to the premiere on Tuesday night over at Paramount. HBO threw in a really lovely event. I mean, they went all out for Stephen.
I wasn't invited.
Gotta get in with those HBO peeps. What can I say? This movie is so terrific. Like, anybody watching this podcast, Meet the Movie Press, I assume is a fan on some level of Steven Spielberg. The sheer number of incredible movies that he has been involved with is jaw-dropping, and this documentary is just a delight. There's vintage Spielberg footage from that he shot when he was a kid. There's footage of him hanging with the movie brats.
Yep.
Francis Ford Coppola, George Lucas, Brian De Palma, and Scorsese himself. I just loved it. Do you have a favorite Spielberg movie?
One I don't think I have a favourite. One that I did revisit, and when you were away, I spoke to Dimitri about this, who was co-hosting on the show. I recently rewatched Close Encounters for the first time in a long, long time on the big screen. I had forgotten how much I love that movie.
It's a great movie, very influential, and there's the section on Close Encounters is fantastic in the Spielberg documentary. So I think that airs October 7th.
Okay,
maybe the Saturday night after Blade Runner.
Nice,
definitely that is appointment viewing. Don't miss the Spielberg documentary. I loved it.
But I mean, there are so many that he's done over the years, and so many of his projects that just, to be honest with you, get forgotten. But I mean. Again, another movie that I watch whenever it's on is Jaws. E.T. is another one that I just...
Close Encounters E.T. That's just early Spielberg.
I keep revisiting, but there's
Schindler's
a lot of...
List and Jurassic Park in the same year.
Yeah. The Jurassic Park's still phenomenal.
The Indiana Jones movies.
Yeah.
War of the Worlds and Minority Report and Munich and AI.
You see, Munich I wasn't a fan of. Minority Report, I did. No, I was not a massive fan of that. Minority Report, I really, really loved. I watched that again quite recently, like 9 months ago, for the first time since I watched it when it came out originally. That is such a good movie. Such a good movie.
Definitely check that out. And I got to meet him. Well, sort of. I sort of met him. We passed each other on the stairs. Steven! And I said, "Congratulations on tonight, Stephen." And he looked at me and he said, "Thank you." And that constitutes an exchange. That's dialogue. And so yes, I technically spoke to Stephen this week.
Are you that Jack Sneider from Mute the Movie Pressers?
Yes.
And yes, sir, I am.
Yeah. All right.
Meeting Spielberg is something of a almost godlike experience,
right? And you know what? Speaking of godlike experiences, one that I missed out on. I'm pretty sure I missed out on. I don't think I ever met him. Hugh Hefner died this week.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of ink spilled over the past week about Hugh's legacy. A lot of people, saw him as a real, major proponent of the First Amendment and free speech, and helping women to liberate themselves and their bodies. And a lot of people thought he was a guy who objectified women and sort of kept them down. So, opinions on both sides, but I really don't think you can deny that he's a legendary cultural figure.
Yep.
I have been to the mansion twice. Have you ever been to the Playboy Mansion?
No, I always wanted to go. I went to a couple of the Playboy clubs around the world, though.
That's a different thing.
Yeah.
And there's been a lot of crazy stories about the mansion, of course, this week. The New York Times had an interesting one. He died. I think he was 91, and now his empire is falling to his 25-year-old son.
Yep.
Something like that. And they got to move out of the house now because he sold the Playboy Mansion, but the deal was that he could live there until his death.
Yep.
I imagine that they're packing up now.
I don't know what's going to happen to that, but a couple of years ago, when Anna Faris was doing the press tour for House Bunny, we were talking about Hugh Hefner. She'd only just quite recently been to an event at the Playboy Mansion. It was when I was doing an interview with her in London, and her mum apparently was hitting on Hugh Hefner.
That's great.
And Anna had the chance to go in the pool at the Playboy Mansion and was like, fuck no.
You don't want to go.
That's jizz, tears, and pubes.
Yeah, you don't want to go in that pool.
There's a lot of fluids in there. But she turned that down.
to Hugh Hefner.
Unique.
Hey, I grew up reading that magazine back when teenagers still needed reading in
How much
quotation
reading
marks.
was involved? Don't come in, Mom, I'm reading.
Back when teenagers actually
with my penis in my hand.
Magazines.
Yeah. Don't read in public. You get arrested.
Let's talk about Charlie's Angels.
Yes, you just tweeted about that.
News just broke before the show that Kristen Stewart is being eyed for one of the leads. That was Justin and my man Brent Lang over at Variety. I've been tracking Kristen Stewart on Charlie's Angels since June. She's always been a name at the top of the producers' lists. I think that she has been looking to do something more commercial for quite a while. And this has a strong female filmmaker at the helm, and Elizabeth Banks. So I wouldn't be surprised if this worked out. I think I had heard that Kristen Stewart and Emma Stone were sort of the top choices. I didn't know if they were together, but they're kind of the same-ish.
Yeah.
So I imagine they were sort of up for the same role. I don't know if Emma Stone passed or not, but yeah, I think Kristen Stewart probably has the edge there. And then of course there's going to be a Black Angel. There wasn't a Black Angel. I think didn't we talk about this months ago?
Yeah, we did.
Ring a bell.
Yeah.
Because I heard it was the girl from Hidden Figures. Fuck, Janelle Monáe.
Yeah.
And they wanted Janelle
excellent.
Monáe.
I would love.
I think she would be a wonderful Charlie's Angel. Of course,
Zoe Kravitz would be another one.
Yeah, no,
I love Zoe
absolutely.
Kravitz.
She's really good. Variety actually included Lupita Nyong'o.
Yes.
I don't know if Lupita would necessarily be better than Janelle Monáe, but yeah, I mean we'll see. I don't think that Kristen Stewart has a deal. I don't even know if she has an offer yet. I think that there's just very high interest in her. And yeah, Sony's been making some interesting choices with some of their stuff, like Anne Hathaway and Barbie, Gina Rodriguez and Miss Bala. So they've kind of been on a casting roll. We'll see if this one sticks.
Talking of things that are sticking and things being revived, did you read about the Flight of the Navigator remake?
I did. Who's doing that?
It's a guy called Joe Henderson, who's apparently the showrunner for Lucifer, which is the TV show, which I have never seen.
No, me neither.
I mean, it's like season 3 or season 4, I think. So obviously there's an audience for it, but I haven't watched it. Flight of the Navigator is a film that I bizarrely actually watched like 3 or 4 months ago. That is a good movie.
Weren't Trevorrow and Connolly working on this?
A long time ago, yeah. I mean, Colin was talking about this 18 months ago.
I'm not a Flight of the Navigator guy, so I'm not really.
I enjoyed it more now as an adult than when I was a kid because there's some good stuff in there. Mm-hmm. It's got some really nice adult tone.
You can see that's Disney, right?
Yeah, it was Disney. Yeah,
yeah. They are looking to reinvent some of those properties. That they can't just bank on live action fairy tales, essentially. Which is why they're also doing that. A new Santa Claus movie, Nicole, with Anna Kendrick,
Shirley MacLaine.
They got Shirley MacLaine and Billy Eichner this week,
which is great.
So yeah, clearly Disney is looking to sort of diversify its live action lineup. And yeah, the Santa Claus shit is just sitting there. I mean, there hasn't been like a Santa Claus franchise really since Tim Allen's The Santa Claus.
He's not coming back. He's not coming back.
And you can tell
Judge Reinhold's available.
There's been a bunch of Santa Claus movies, like Kevin Hart was doing one, Dashing Through the Snow, that was in development. But it looks like Nicole, now that it's casting up, is going to beat everybody to the punch. And good for them. I think Bill Hader's in it too.
Great. I love Bill.
Kendrick, Bill Hader, Billy Eichner, Shirley MacLaine. I like it.
We were talking earlier about Beverly Hills Cop, and Langley M. Neely in the chat made a good point. He was saying that he's kind of getting tired of the same. We were talking about the fact that there aren't that many options to do like an Eddie Murphy replacement for doing a young Beverly Hills Cop. Saying he was getting a bit tired of Michael B. Jordan, Kevin Hart, and Chadwick Boseman being the first names that people think of when they're casting young black actors.
Oh, I know who'd be good. But go ahead.
I think that's fair, but also, I mean, the point has to be made that while we are seeing more black actors coming through, and not just in roles that are black roles, just generally in stronger roles across the board, there aren't that many black comedic young actors coming through.
No, I think that's incorrect.
I mean, but I can't think of that many. I mean, outside of the likes of Kevin Hart, etc., etc. Who else is?
First of all, the kid who just got cast on SNL this week, Chris Redd.
He's not well known.
He's not going to top line a fucking movie like that yet. Didn't they do a pilot for Beverly Hills Cop? Wasn't it like Brandon, the guy from fucking Tropic Thunder?
Yeah,
Brandon Jackson. Maybe?
Yeah, Brandon Jackson. That's right.
Yeah. No, I'll tell you who would be good.
Okay.
Donald Glover.
Yes.
Donald Glover would be cool. I think, maybe he's not necessarily that funny. I think he could still handle it. Is someone like Daniel Kaluuya from Get Out?
Ooh. He's played straight in a comedy before. In the second Johnny English movie.
Yeah. I think he could handle it. There was one other person, and I'm fucking blanking on their name. Fuck. I'll think of it.
He'd be really good.
There are more choices. You just gotta look a little bit harder. That's the whole thing. That is where the root of diversity is, that because you just think of those guys, Boyega and Michael B. Jordan, Chadwick, and you're like, well, there's nobody else, but there is.
But it's also it's not just the case with African American actors. That happens a lot with Caucasian actors, where like say Emily Blunt does one big movie, and then everybody wants to cast Emily Blunt, and that's like, oh, Emily Blunt could be available, or Josh Gad. Oh, Josh Gad could be available to this. So that isn't just an issue for African American actors. But it's like in the 80s and 90s, there were a lot more African American male comedians out there doing movies than there perhaps are now.
Yeah, I don't.
A lot of them were Wayans brothers, to be honest with you. But
all right, let's move it along.
Yeah.
Lord and Miller.
Yes.
And by the way, we have about 15 minutes left in the show. Let's aim for 10:30 end.
Great. Let's talk about box office as well.
Yes, of course. Right after this, Lord and Miller going back to space after getting fired off Han Solo.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to do Artemis, which is the next book from Andy Weir, the author of The Martian. That's going to be published, I think, in November. Mm-hmm. And it's like set on the moon, and it sounds pretty fucking cool. Did you read about it?
Yes, I did. I'm open to that.
Yeah.
I mean, I like them. I just think putting them on Solo was kind of a really crazy idea that could have paid off, and I just don't think it did.
I'm surprised that they are rushing back to space, because this movie is like about like a female smuggler, and like it sounds like a female Han Solo a little bit, which is a little weird.
Yes. But if you got those ideas that you couldn't use on another project, fuck it.
Yeah, I suppose so. Yeah. Like I wonder how much of their work is really going to be left, and maybe they know what's changing, and they can sort of repurpose it, if you will. But I'm pretty sure Andy Weir has given them something to work with Artemis. I'm sure.
Yeah.
I really like The Martian. What about you?
Oh, superb movie. My only thing about The Martian, there were so many actors who had roles in it that I would have liked just to lose 2 or 3 characters and give everybody else a little bit more room to maneuver. It felt a little bit overstuffed for me. But I mean, I love that movie. I genuinely really enjoyed going to see that in the theatre. And I paid to see that in London.
Okay. Give me the box office report. This week's new releases include American Made from Tom Cruise, the Flatliners remake, which you wouldn't even know it was coming out.
There were screenings for Junket for this, but there weren't press screenings.
There weren't even screenings last night at 7 or 8 in LA. There was one at 12:15.
Yeah.
The indie Super Dark Times, which I really liked.
Yep.
Mark Felt, the man who brought down the White House, with Liam Neeson. Harry Dean Stanton, I don't know if it's his final movie, but Lucky, he's supposed to be excellent in it. And then you have Battle of the Sexes and Jake Gyllenhaal's Stronger expanding this weekend. So Simon, hit us with the numbers.
Okay, so what we're looking at really, the big players here are going to be American Made, which last night took 960,000 in previews, looking at a weekend of 13 to 15 million, which is disappointing. But not surprising, to be honest with you. Flatliners, they're looking at an 8 million weekend. I think it's going to be more like 5 or 6. I just don't think there's much...
Yeah,
people just aren't buzzing about that.
They're not, but genre, the crowd always comes out.
Yeah. So I think 8...
You can only see it so many times.
We'll see. Kingsman's looking at a repeat weekend of, not too bad, 19 million that's looking at. But it is probably likely to come out on top this weekend. A Stronger...
No, it's
not. I mean, Variety was saying it's going to be close between American Made and that. At the top.
No. Kingsman's going to win the weekend with 19.
Okay.
And then it is going to be around 15. And then American Made will be around 13 to 15 as well.
Yeah.
So I think
American Made is not going to come out on top.
No, I think
that's a given.
I think it and American Made are battling for second, but I think Kingsman will repeat.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what happens.
We will.
Yeah, we will.
You want to bet another breakfast, big guy?
I don't. I'd still owe you one of those. Yeah. So I mean, the Deep Throat movie.
It's a limited release.
It's a limited release. Disappointed that I didn't get a screening for that because I'm looking forward to it, but I'm not.
I want to see it too. I'm curious about it, but I mean, it had like no marketing, no. It wasn't a lot of screenings.
And as you were saying, that the Stronger goes wider this week. A great movie. Jake is doing a couple of Q&As after screenings. He's doing one at the Cinerama Dome Friday in Hollywood.
Check your local theater to see if Jake Gyllenhaal will be there.
And then he's doing one Saturday, I think, in Culver City.
I live in Culver City. Oh my God!
You do.
Jake Gyllenhaal's going to be there.
That's why he chose
He
that
did
one.
a great Q&A with Bill Simmons over on The Ringer this week. I definitely
cool.
recommend that podcast. And-
But I went to a Q&A this week. Willem Dafoe.
oh, yeah, but the Florida Project.
Yeah. That's
What'd
an
you think of
amazing.
that movie?
Loved that movie.
We had a great conversation
Really loved it.
while we were waiting to be let into
Yeah.
the studio about Florida Project. We both, love this movie, but we both had an issue with the end. We're not going to say what the end is.
It just didn't work.
Didn't really
at all.
fit the film,
Yeah.
and to me, it feels more like an indie spirit play than an Oscar play. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, I absolutely loved it as a movie. I mean, I thought it was fantastically real. It felt very, very authentic. Sometimes with these kind of effectively like a fly on the wall type movie, they don't quite work. This felt brilliant to me. Dafoe is just superb. I mean, he's amazing.
Willem Dafoe will be nominated. He could even potentially win this year.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Will it be? I mean, would it be nominated for Best Picture, Best Director? I don't know. Potentially Best Director, but it's a really outside chance. We were saying we think it'll do really well at the Spirits, which I think is highly likely. Seriously, it's a great movie. I don't think it's going to be box office wise particularly big. It's an A24 release. But seriously, when this comes out, it's a couple of weeks, right?
This could be the little indie that could though this year.
It
We'll
could
see.
be. But it's seriously one of the best films I've seen this year. It's in my top 3.
I started my week actually on Monday morning with an interview with the two girls from that movie.
Okay.
Brooklyn Prince, who's the youngest girl, and Bria Vinite, who plays her mother. And we'll have that interview up on Tracking Board next week.
Can I just say, we're talking about releases as well this week. Coming out on Netflix is Gerald's Game.
Oh, I totally want to see that.
That dropped at midnight last night.
Fuck. Okay.
That is
Maybe we'll
something
watch that
that
tonight.
you should seriously check out.
That looks great.
And also next week, Cult of Chucky comes out.
Have you seen it?
I'm going to watch it tonight because I got a disc sent to me, and I'm super psyched about it.
I saw it.
Motherfucker, really?
I saw it.
There was a screening last night, right? Or did you see it the other day?
I'm not going to comment.
Okay. Oh, did you?
I saw it. It's
Did you
interesting.
Did you download it?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay. I just wanted to say I don't know if this is happening in sort of non-dom territories, but there were a lot of people talking this week about having seen Cult of Chucky, and they downloaded it. Now, Cult of Chucky is going to be on Netflix in the US in October. I think it's going to be like a couple of days after it's available to buy and stream. There are going to be plenty of ways that you can see this movie. Do not, like any movie, download it illegally.
Yeah, don't do it.
Don't do it. Seriously. I know sometimes it's really tempting. Just buy it, and then if you don't want to keep it, stick it on eBay and resell it. Get some of your money back. Or watch it on Netflix. But don't... Seriously, people complain about a lot of movies not, being made, and why didn't anybody go and see that movie? Or why wasn't it more successful? Because people keep fucking downloading it for free. So, especially with this kind of movie, don't do it.
All I'm going to say...
There are plenty of ways you can see it legally.
About the Cult of Chucky is this. The Cult of Chucky has the year's single best pop culture commentary that I've seen all year. There's one line, you will know it when you hear it.
Okay.
It's written specially by Don Mancini.
Nice.
And trust me, you'll remember it.
I'm gonna have interviews with the cast and Don going up on Forbes next week. I spoke to them quite recently, which is great. So that was cool. But yeah, so those are probably two things if you want to sit on your ass this weekend and early next week. Those are probably the ones that you want to.
I do like sitting on this ass.
It's a mighty fine ass.
We got about 8 minutes left in the show.
Okay, what do you got?
J.J. Abrams is producing a remake of this Japanese anime movie, Your Name. I haven't seen the movie.
Yes.
I heard it's brilliant.
At Paramount.
Yep.
The studio that he'd apparently fallen out with because he's doing Star Wars. Well, clearly he hasn't fallen out that much because they're giving him another fucking movie to make.
Sure. He's just producing this one. He's not directing, but at the same time, wouldn't you like to see JJ sort of do something original? I mean,
yeah, I would.
And he has. I guess the Cloverfield movies are all original.
Yeah.
But yeah, he definitely caught some flack this week for yet another, putting his name on someone else's thing again.
Yeah, I mean, I think he will probably do, a good job with this, but I do, like you, I want to see him just do JJ. I want to see something. He's a very creative and very imaginative guy with some great stories in him, some great ideas, and a great visual flair, lens flare.
It was just like, what is JJ's
dude?
What is his
give us
passion
that.
project? Even just like Joss Whedon delivers like that shitty black and white Shakespeare movie, right?
Yeah.
Like, I didn't see that movie, and I'm sure
It was good. You should check it out.
I bet it's not that good, to be honest.
It's good. Well, I like Shakespeare, so.
So do I, but come on. I'm sure it's not that good, because for a whole bunch of reasons. But the point is that Joss Whedon went out and fucking made it, and I respect him for that,
Yeah.
and for having fucking passions and ideas and wanting to be creative outside of like the Avengers shit. And JJ needs his whatever the fuck that movie was called. What was it?
It was.
Till-
Shit, it was. Oh, fuck.
Totally forget. What the
No,
fuck
it's A
that
Midsummer
Joss
Night's Dream.
Whedon- Was it?
Wasn't it?
I don't think so.
Wasn't it?
Maybe it was based on that. I don't know if that was the title.
Let me see. Someone's going to tell us in the chat. Someone do a Google.
Joss Whedon.
Shakespeare 2 in space.
Much Ado About
Much
Nothing.
about nothing.
I beat you to it.
Much about nothing.
Bing!
Hey, thanks, Bing.
Speaking
Says
of
no one
JJ,
ever.
the director of Star Trek,
Yeah.
there was news this week that Quentin Tarantino wants to do a Star Trek movie.
Yeah, this got pulled out of something
I'll let you play the bad cop on this one.
This was something that got pulled out of, for some reason, a podcast that he did with Nerdist in 2015, and it suddenly became a story this week. Tarantino saying apparently that he would, he'd be interested in doing a Star Trek movie. I think this has come out obviously because the new Star Trek show was available online for CBS this week. I would be very interested to see a Tarantino Star Trek movie. I think it would be like a Star Trek movie we have never seen before. However, this is not something that is going to happen because Tarantino has already said that he only has at least 2 or 3 more movies in him. He knows exactly what those movies are, and he's moving ahead with those movies. So I don't think there's room for a Star Trek movie. He's not going to come away from everything that he's done previously and make a Star Trek movie. I'd kind of like to see it. I'll be curious. But,
This is something to,
I don't think it's ever
get,
gonna happen.
to get bloggers clicks. This is
Yeah,
absolute
it's-
nonsense. I could see him
It's a
directing
nonsense story.
an episode of the Star Trek TV series or something like that. He's not going to put years into a Star Trek movie. And
he's done TV stuff before.
I
He
don't
did an
even know
episode
why-
of CSI.
yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I don't even know why Paramount wants to make it Star Trek 4 with an enhanced role for Chris Hemsworth. But yeah, that was a little tidbit that was making the rounds this week. There's a couple other things. We had 5 minutes left in the show. I want to talk about some scripts. Last week on Friday, a big script, spec script, started making the rounds in Hollywood about young Oprah. This would be, this would be a fucking big movie. I don't know if Oprah would stand in the way of it, the way that Madonna has reacted to news of her biopic, but it would be a great role for a young black actress. Young Oprah Winfrey as a reporter. I think it was in the 70s. So that is still waiting for a home. We're gonna have a spec listing up on the tracking board as soon as I get off the show. There's an amazing sounding spec that just went out today.
Was that the one we were discussing just before the show? Yeah.
Okay, so O.J. Simpson is due for parole on Monday.
Yes.
And this is a script about O.J. coming after Cuba Gooding Jr. for exploiting his image. It's kind of fucking brilliant. I mean, I don't expect this will really ever get made, but it's a great writing sample. So I'm going to be writing about that as soon as the show ends. And then there was one other script that I heard Fox is developing. It's called Stoned Alone.
Okay.
Do you know where I'm going with this?
Yeah. Yes.
This is like Home Alone, but with a guy who gets super high and is so paranoid he just thinks people are trying to break into his house.
I really like the
Could
idea
you
of
see
that.
that working?
Yeah, I could.
Yeah,
I could see that being a really big holiday movie.
I could kind of see that too. Where it's just all in his head. And then
That's a great idea.
yeah, it's cool. Was there anything else that you wanted to discuss? Because I have one thing to plug, but then I'm done. So if
I
there's
don't
anything else on
think
your
so.
list-
I mean, people are asking about, what should they go and see this weekend? People are asking about, tonight, Stronger or Battle of the Sexes. I haven't seen Battle of the Sexes, but I can say, and you've seen Stronger as well. Stronger is a phenomenal movie.
Yes, absolutely go see Stronger.
yeah,
Battle of the Sexes.
go and see that.
Battle of the Sexes is a good movie. It's a fine movie, and the performances are good, but it's felt like an HBO movie.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not particularly
That's what I've
challenging.
heard.
There's not a lot of depth. It's very kind of surface level.
But strongest, just it's the writing, the direction, the performances are absolutely stellar.
That'll stick with you.
Did an interview with the producers of that, Todd and David. It's up on Forbes, and it's
I
really
retweeted that.
Yeah, it's a really interesting piece. I think to say so myself, and they especially talk about why they cast Jake in the lead rather than someone who was disabled. They're really interesting guys.
I called Todd on Friday to congratulate him, same as I did last year with Scott Stuber on Patriots Day.
Awesome.
It's these producers. It's like they are shocked.
Did you speak to him?
Yeah.
Cool.
They're shocked to get like a congratulatory call from a reporter. Like, anytime I'm calling, I'm like asking for information or trying to confirm something. So to just call and have a conversation and say, "Hey, man, you did my city proud." It's nice.
Well, off the
It's
back of my piece for Forbes, Todd actually sent me an email to thank me for the piece. He really liked it.
Classy guys.
He's a really nice guy, and they don't have to be; they choose to be.
Anything? So let's wrap up the show.
I think I'm done.
That's it?
Yeah,
where
I'm done.
Where can the folks find you?
You can find me on Twitter at ShowbizSimon, Instagram at ShowbizSimon, and there's a Facebook page, This is Simon Thompson, and you'll probably see my work popping up a few places.
And I'm over at the tracking board, tracking-board.com. We're going to have an interview up with Charlie Tahan, the star of Super Dark Times, later today.
Great.
We'll have Drew McWeeney's review of Blade Runner 2049. Please be sure and check that out. And check out my piece on how Wonder is in 5 different movie titles this fall. Wonderstruck, Wonder, Professor Marston and the Wonder Women, Wonder Wheel, Wonder. It's fucking crazy.
You know what they should do with that?
Yeah. Anyways, this has been Meet the Movie Press on the Popcorn Talk Network. Make sure to rate, comment, subscribe. Have a great weekend, gang.
From producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire Popcorn Talk Network, we would like to thank you for tuning in. For questions or comments, be sure to visit popcorntalk.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of the Popcorn Talk Network.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of
From producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire